I classified the Corvette myself. That's the part I can't file around, no matter how many times I rewrite the report. My name is Das Ren Call, and I am, by rank and by temperament, a coward. I did not choose this. The Kaevrin Broodmarch chose it for me, the way it chooses everything for everyone below the matriarch cysts. You are given a station, a quota, and a vein debt you will spend the rest of your life bleeding down. And mine happened to be classification. Ships came in. I looked at them. I decided how much fear they deserved. It is not a job that requires courage. It requires only the willingness to sign your name under a lie small enough that nobody checks it. The lie I signed was 4 words long. Negligible threat. Aid class. We had been feeding on Verdansk Reach for 6 years. Not raiding. Feeding. The slow way. The way the Broodmarch prefers. Because a colony drained gently over seasons produces richer draw than one stripped in a single night. We took what the humans called their blood banks and we called tribute. We took their sick, their old, their volunteers under duress, in careful percentages calculated to keep the colony believing it was managing a plague rather than being managed by one. It was, I want to be honest, a good system. Efficient. Nobody starved. Nobody above my pay grade lost sleep. Then the Corvette came in on a shallow burn, running light soft, hull painted the color of old bone. A faded red cross scoured half off its bow plating like it had been meaning to repaint for a decade and never got around to it. It hailed us in the flat, apologetic tone of a species asking permission to bury its dead. Aid vessel. Unarmed. Requesting corridor clearance to deliver medical relief to Verdansk Reach. I had 406 ships to log that shift. I had a vein debt payment due in 11 days. I looked at the mass reading. Corvette scale. 60 meters. No weapons bloom. No drive signature above civilian tolerance. And I typed, negligible threat. Aid class. And moved on to ship 407. Nobody above me questioned it. Why would they? The Broodmarch does not waste appetite on things that read like leftovers. We have a saying, passed down from cyst mother to cyst daughter for longer than any human colony has existed. Hunger does not waste itself on the small. I believed that saying. I had built a career on believing it. Quietly. The way you build a career on any assumption nobody has yet had reason to test. The Corvette sat in low orbit for 3 days, running what looked like supply transfers to the colony's surface. Small craft ferried crates down and back up on a schedule so unhurried it was almost insulting. Medical relief, we assumed. The kind of gesture a prey species makes to feel less like prey. Our harvest cycles continued underneath it, unbothered. Collection lines ran their slow, careful draw exactly as they had for 6 years, tapping the colony's hospitals and its quiet districts in percentages small enough that the humans below kept calling it a plague and not an occupation. I remember thinking with the particular smugness of a serf who has gotten away with something, that I had been right to wave it through. Less paperwork is its own small mercy, and I had earned 3 days of it. I even logged a note in the margin, the kind of note you only write when you're pleased with yourself. Corvette continues aid posture. Recommend no further classification review. I signed it with my full rank. I want that on record too, now, since I've stopped pretending the record is for anyone's benefit but my own. On the 4th day, Matriarch Cyst Osivane ordered the 41st feeding swarm forward to close out the season's draw in a single clean pass. 41 ships, crewed by drinkers eager to finish the quota early and go home to their own cyst broods. It was routine. It was, by every metric we had, safe. The colony had no defenses worth the name. The Corvette was aid class, negligible. I watched it from the classification deck, because watching harvests was one of the few genuine pleasures left to someone in my station. And because my friend Sarat Ilvain Doss was crewing the lead feeding ship, the Marrowtide, on her first swarm command. She had waved at the long-range pickup before the swarm broke formation toward the colony. I remember her face. I remember thinking she looked happy. The Corvette did not move for the first 6 minutes. It let the swarm pass beneath it, let 38 of the 41 ships establish draw lock on the colony's harvest grid, patient in a way that should have told me everything, because nothing patient has ever been harmless in the history of anything that eats. Then its bow cracked open along a seam that had never been in any scan we took of it, and the aid vessel I had classified as negligible unfolded into something with no business being 60 meters long, because it wasn't 60 meters long anymore. The bone-colored hull had been a shell, a folded skin worn over a spine 3 times its displayed size, and the ICSV cold larder came out of its own disguise like a hand out of a glove. It did not announce itself. It did not gloat, or hail us, or do any of the things the Matriarch Cyst's tacticians would have predicted from a species we had spent 6 years believing were livestock with delusions of medicine. It simply opened fire on the draw-locked ships first, methodically, starting with whichever vessel was drinking fastest, because, I understand this only now, writing it down, it had been watching us feed the entire 3 days it sat there, and it had ranked us by how much harm we were doing before it decided who died first. 9 minutes. I have the timestamp because I am the one who logged it, the same hand that logged the lie logging the correction. 36 of 41 feeding ships gone before the swarm even finished its formation break. The marrow tide went in the second minute. I do not know if Surratt felt it. I have chosen, for my own reasons, to believe she did not. 5 ships survived by scattering wide enough that the cold larder judged the pursuit not worth the fuel. It let them go. It let the colony's harvest grid burn on the ground below it, unhooked every drained collection line with something that looked, on the long-range feed, almost like care. And then it turned its running lights back to soft and its hull plating folded shut over whatever it truly was. And it sat in orbit exactly where it had sat for 3 days. Doing nothing, saying nothing, while what was left of the swarm limped home to explain to Matriarch Sist Ossivane how a negligible threat had emptied us of a season's income and half a generation of crews in less time than it takes to properly drain one healthy adult. There was a tribunal, of course. There is always a tribunal, and it always finds exactly the officer it needs to find, which in this case was me, because my signature was the one at the bottom of the original classification, and tribunals prefer a name to a systemic failure. I sat before the Matriarch Sist's proxy, and I answered every question honestly, which surprised them more than any lie would have. Yes, I had seen the Corvette's mass reading. Yes, I had judged it negligible. No, I had not requested a secondary scan. Because a secondary scan cost fuel and time I did not have the authority to spend without a reason, and a soft-running aid ship delivering crates to a colony we were already harvesting had never, in 6 years, been a reason. They did not execute me. Instead, they left me at my station, under the same quota, with the same vain debt, because a serf who has watched 36 ships die for his signature makes a more careful classifier than one who never felt that weight. That is the whole of my punishment. I still sign the same forms. I no longer believe smallness and harmlessness are the same measurement. I filed the correction myself, because nobody else wanted their name on it. Negligible threat, aid class, revised, unknown hull, dreadnought scale, weapons class unrated, current status, occupying. There is no field in our classification system for what to do when the thing you waved through turns out to have been grading you the whole time, so I left that box empty. The way you leave a wound uncleaned when cleaning it would mean admitting how deep it goes. The colony calls it something now, some human word the surviving interpreters brought back. I am told it means something like, the one who watched us be gentle with them and decided we didn't deserve to be. I don't know if that's an accurate translation. I don't check human words very carefully anymore. I have learned, the expensive way, what happens when I don't check things carefully at all. I still have Surratt's wave on file, from the long-range pickup, 3 days before the swarm went in. I have not deleted it. I don't think I will. Some part of my quota, I have decided, should stay unpaid on purpose. The cold larder is still in orbit. It has not fed. It has not left. It has not done anything since, except exist there, quietly, the way a debt exists whether or not anyone is currently collecting it. And every shift I come to my station and I look at the feed from that orbit, and every shift I write. In the log nobody reads twice. The only honest classification I have left in me, unresolved.